Yeah, so we're going to take a little look at Letitia James in action rather than saying all the other ballistic. Without further ado, let's go on with my man right here. You know what I'm saying? Kingdom Reacts. You know what I'm saying? I think it's his name. Kingdom Reacts. Subscribe.
The Trump witch hunt continues. Watch this video of Letitia James alleging that is not that.
The President of the United States has complained that I'm engaging in some sort of political witch hunt, that I've got some personal vendetta against him, that I campaigned against him. That is not true.
That's not true, huh? It'd be a shame if this video circulated across the internet and everybody seen it.
This illegitimate president who sits in the White House.
That president, because he's not my president, he's an illegitimate president. His days are numbered. His days are numbered.
We've got to get ready to mobilize, and we've got to get ready to agitate and irritate until victory is won, but more importantly, until Trump is defeated. We will all rise up and resist this man.
This is what caused the Black Lives Matter situation. Black Lives Matter was a part of this.
Illegitimate president, I'm going to give you the same level of respect that you gave to President Obama, and that is absolutely no respect at all.
Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey. Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey.
Oh.
Wow, well, you get the picture. You know what I'm saying? That's all I can say. You get the picture. You know what I'm saying? You tell me what you think, like the guy is asking here himself. You know what I mean? This is all led up from the time of Letitia James and all them ramping up this against Trump and bringing all this to Trump. You know what I'm saying? That's what this was all about. This was no more than just another bullshit that they were running this campaign against Trump. And Letitia James, there's no more than that. Listen.
That is not true.
That is not true, huh? Look, people forget the fact that we have cameras. I don't understand how this fact gets lost in the sauce. People are saying because of her blatant bias that she needs to be off this case with Trump. She's literally campaigned on taking him down, and that's all that she's focused on, which ultimately poses the question. Is this not a witch hunt? Plus, the only accurate thing I heard her say was the President of the United States. Everything after that followed was just a lie. And believe it or not, before we even continue this segment, it actually gets worse. Could you believe that?
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass.
I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president. We need to focus on Donald Trump. We need to follow his money. What is fueling my soul right now is Trump.
This illegitimate president, I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, and then going home.
Now, going after Trump is one thing, but being obsessed and then legally proceeding to go against Trump is another. However, she's going public denying that she has any personal vendetta against Trump, and this is not a political, witch hunt or political persecution, shall I say. But she's called him illegitimate multiple times, said that she was going to do this and harass him, basically, literally saying his days are numbered. And at another rally, James told the crowd to mobilize, get ready to take 3 is one, but importantly, until Letitia James. Now, if you he claims that the Trump organization's failure to comply with GAAP, which is, abbreviated for generally accepted accounting principle, is the smoking gun evidence of this case against Trump, claiming that he's a fraud. Then there's this. You remember when Trump called her a racist?
We have a racist attorney general who's a horror show who ran on the basis that she was going to get Trump before she even knew anything about me. She used this to run for governor. She failed in her attempt to run for governor. She had virtually no polling.
And more importantly, a low IQ affirmative action admin and liberal politician. Just how low IQ is Letitia James?
If I'm being completely honest, I don't know what that got to do with this video. It was just the beginning of the video, and yeah. But the point that I actually want to get to is when they explain the quote-unquote evidence that Lydia James has against, or she's using against Trump in terms of him committing fraud.
Let me show you the deposition right now of Alan Weisselberg, the CFO of the Trump Organization.
Said the phrase GAP, G-A-A-P. Are you familiar with that acronym?
I've heard of that, yes.
Okay. Tell me everything you know about GAP. What is GAP?
Generally accepted accounting principles. I don't know what's in GAP. I never took the CPA exam.
Okay.
And never studied for it. So I don't know all the various components of what GAP is.
Are there any components you know about what GAP is?
Now let me show you Don Jr. Does Don Jr. know about generally accepted accounting
Do you
principles?
have any familiarity with an acronym GAP, G-A-A-P?
Generally accepted accounting principles, yes.
Okay. How did you become familiar with that acronym?
Probably in Accounting 101 at Wharton.
Okay. What do they teach you about generally accepted accounting principles in Wharton?
Well, I'm not an accountant, but that they are generally accepted.
Anything else?
That's pretty much what I remember from Accounting 101. So.
Have you told me everything you know about GAP?
Basically. I'm sure I could come up with some creative stuff to kill time, but I'd be doing neither of us a favor in terms of educating ourselves.
Your obligation here of presenting the information in accordance with GAP. Was Alan Weisselberg responsible for that?
Object to the form. I would say yes.
I don't think I've ever had any involvement in the statement of financial condition. To the best, maybe you could show me something, but again, I don't think I ever signed a statement of financial condition. I don't.
But if New York is not a GAP compliant state, how can Trump be liable for fraud in failing to comply with GAP? Make it make sense. Man, if lying was a crime. I mean, just generally speaking, boy, we can get all these politicians out the way. I mean, but it's not hard to realize that that's why she was picked. But you have no business in the legal system if you're just gonna continue to perpetuate your bias. And I thought this was the only thing that you campaigned on, was taking them down. Reason and logic does not apply to the Southern District of New York. I'm starting to see right now. They only want to get them at all costs. Let's just pray that they're gonna ultimately fail. And obviously the timing of this is suspicious. Why wait the entire duration of Biden's presidency? And instead, let's just go ahead and grab him during the middle of an election campaign. Let's stop that. And it's clear to see that they're willing to do any and everything just to prevent this man from running. And now this question has been all over the internet from Bill Elmore this time though. Should New York AG Lydia James be indicted for prosecutorial misconduct for charging Trump with fake crimes? Now we know that this trial has a clause that only makes it a bench trial, which is what James wanted. Meaning there's never an option, or will never be an option, for a jury to be selected. But even if there was a jury, we got a video of the judge on this Trump's fraud case explaining how he would still overrule the decision.
Oh my heaven's sake. How could they have thought that? Well, I have a tool that can deal with that. It's called judgment notwithstanding the verdict. I can say there is no possible way that a reasonable jury would have reached that conclusion. And, all right, am I following the law or am I making law? Okay, I'm following law. I'm an impartial referee. But it's hard to factor out my own emotions. And I have tools. Somebody can say, well, Your Honor, you have to throw out this case because it's just like another case. Well, is it just like another case? What if the defendant was wearing a red sweater instead of a blue sweater? Oh, and by the way, I worked for the Columbia Daily Spectator for a couple of weeks. What happened was I went there every day and I wrote a few stories. One I got criticized on because I wrote that some Ku Klux Klanners had murdered some people, and I was told, you can't say that. How do we know? You weren't there. That was what everybody thought. Anyway, yeah, we should have absolute immunity. What if we defame somebody? That's how it usually comes up. You know, you call somebody a murderer or a heroin addict, that sort of thing, a pedophile. If it's done in court, yeah, I think we should have absolute immunity.
You can't tell me that appointing that judge wasn't deliberate. Try to convince me otherwise. If I'm being completely honest, I can't believe that he's still sitting up there after that statement. I just really want you to take away from that video how this judge is bragging about his own power and how he can use it at his own convenience. But let's not take my word for it. Let's hear from an actual judge.
My co-host, Judge Jeanine Pirro, joins us. When you hear a judge talk like that,
I'm stunned. I'm stunned. When this guy says it's hard to factor out the emotions, Judge, that's what you do. And if you can't do that, you don't belong on the bench. And I got to tell you, right from the get-go, what he liked about being a cabbie was the instant cash, and now he's dealing with Donald Trump's financial issues, and he liked being able to drive like a maniac and not getting caught. Look, as a judge, there are certain standards you have to abide by, Jesse, and the thing that made me crazy, even crazier than all this, is when he said that in defending Letitia James' prosecution of Donald Trump, albeit a civil case, he said, well, you know, he's just a bad guy that she should go after. That by itself is enough for this judge to be removed from the case.
Yes.
Because according to the administrative rules of the unified court system and the uniform rule of trial courts in New York, Judge, you cannot sit on a case where you have a personal bias or a prejudice concerning a party. And if saying this is a bad guy that should be gone after isn't prejudice, then I don't know what is.
Preach.
He doesn't belong in this case. And let me go one step further. How about the incompetence of his not knowing what was beyond the statute of limitations, the inability to be able to assess the facts, forget your emotions. Like when you deal with the facts, you can't figure out what is barred by the statute of limitations. Are you stupid?
So he just hit Trump with a gag order because his clerk was in a photo with Chuck Schumer. Trump said this was Schumer's girlfriend, and now Trump's not allowed to say anything about anybody in the court. Is that fair play?
You know what I think is the most interesting about that? That Chuck Schumer didn't answer the question. Did he, Jesse? And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, we don't know if he's dating the woman or not, but I don't know, a gag order, Trump's going to break it.
You think?
Judge Pirro.
Yeah.
Well, you get the picture. You tell me what you think. You know what I'm saying? This is point blank saying, I'm out of here, bro.